everybody. So I was thinking, what could be a fun thing to do for Friday Favorites, given that Captain Marvel is coming out this week? And I had the idea that wouldn't it be fun if I said something nice about every single Marvel movie? And don't worry, DC fans, I am going to do the same thing with the DC movies. And I'm not as much a fan of them, but there's always something nice to be said about every single movie. There's something. And so it's going to be really fun. And I'm going to stick with the MCU. I might expand beyond the DCEU for the DC films and say something nice about, but I'm going to do that one closer to Shazam. And I'll do the same thing for X-Men before the Dark Phoenix. And it'll be really fun. I'm excited. So here we go. Let's talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and something nice to say about every movie. All right, so we have Iron Man. I think this is one of the strongest origin stories that I've ever seen. I really like the journey that Tony goes on from being this man of business. He's basically the villain of most of the Marvel movies that I love. The man in a suit, the man of business who's greedy, and he doesn't care that he's selling his arms to help terrorists and other things. But he gets to such a low point, and we forget how smart Tony is when he's in that cave and figuring out the suit and everything like that. And I really like his journey from his humbling journey along the way. So then we have the Incredible Hulk. I think this movie has some really good action, particularly the last fight at the end. We have the Incredible Hulk versus Abomination. I think that whole scene is really strong. Then Iron Man 2. I think that this one actually is kind of interesting because for so long, all of the superhero movies had all been hidden identities, hidden from the world. And this is one of the first ones where they had really made the hero a celebrity. And you see how being famous kind of preys upon the worst of Tony and they make him too unlikable. But I think the whole idea of sort of a famous superhero is kind of interesting. And I think that the confrontation between Whiplash and Iron Man at the racetrack is pretty well done, and I enjoy it. So there you go. Iron Man 2. Thor. I think the best thing about Thor is all the Thor movies is Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, and their relationship as brothers is so great. I can never hate any of the Thor movies because they're just so strong to me. But this first Thor movie, I really think that Chris Hemsworth as Thor, as this fish out of water guy, trying to kind of figure out our world, is so good, and he nails the humor so well, and he's so likable. And so that's the strongest part about Thor for me. The Captain America, the first Avenger, I think the relationship between Peggy Carter and Steve Rogers is the strongest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think it's the strongest in this film. And so you get to see that, and I think that's the best thing about that movie. Marvel's The Avengers. I think a scene I love when Loki is talking to Coulson, and that whole scene is so great. I also love when Loki and Tony are talking, so great. But the whole moment when everything's circling down and you've got your circle of your Avengers all fighting because of what has happened to Coulson, and it's just really fun. I love it. Iron Man 3, I think the best thing about this movie is the journey that Tony has gone on, because he starts to deal with this anxiety that you would feel after you've had all of these experiences, and his sort of mental health situation, the panic attacks that he's experiencing. I think that Robert Downey Jr. gives his best performance in Iron Man 3, and I really think it helps work with his choices later on. And so it's not one of my favorites, but I do think that part of it is really good. Thor: The Dark World. I, again, really like particularly Loki. I like Thor the most in the first Thor, and then I like Loki the most in the second. He's just so charismatic, and you're frustrated by him, you love him, so good. I love that. And I do think the final fight where they're going through different realms and fighting, I think is really good too. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I think that the combat in this is really strong, very well done. The 2-on-2, the whole scene in the elevator is really great. And I think this movie helps to make Cap's decisions in the upcoming movies make a lot more sense because of his loss of faith in S.H.I.E.L.D. here. That's very important later on. Plus, you get to see his struggles with Bucky. And so that's really strong. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think that the way that it used music is just so entertaining and so strong. And I really enjoy the humor in Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers Age of Ultron, I think the whole dichotomy between Vision on one side, which was created by Bruce and Tony, and then you have Ultron, which was also created by them. So it's sort of the both sides of them, I think, is the strongest part. Also, the whole party scene is really good. Ant-Man, I really love Paul Rudd. I've loved him since Clueless. I think he's so charismatic, and I think that I just really enjoy all the sort of scenes with Michael Pena, and also I just like his character. I think Scott Lang is a really engaging, likable character. Captain America Civil War. I really like the whole conflict between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark because I think it's really been built up well. You have one character who has learned that his decisions are fallible and can lead to the death. He sees that vision of his friends and suffering. So Tony is not, he's of course going to want to sign the Sokovia Accord. He's going to give up his agency, whereas Steve has seen S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything that he trusted and war and everything like that has just not been reliable, not been true. And so he's never going to sign the Sokovia Accord. I think it really makes sense. So the conflict, the core conflict of the movie really works for me in Civil War. The airport scene is a lot of fun, but my favorite part is that core conflict. I think it's very solid. Doctor Strange, I really like how humble that he has to get. Doctor Strange, he's in pretty dire straits when he's begging at the feet of the what's her name? When he's begging at the feet of the Ancient One to help him, he gets to a pretty low spot. And I think that Benedict Cumberbatch's performance in those scenes when he's so just desperate, I think really work. And I really like all the special effects. I think the way that the world, I think the way that it all looks like a kaleidoscope and everything like that is really cool. And I enjoy it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I think that this one has some really nice character moments. I wish there was more team, but I do think it has some real nice moments with Rocket. It has some nice moments with Yondu, of course. And I do think this movie is really beautiful. And so I appreciate that. Spider-Man Homecoming, I really like the small high school feel to this. I like Peter and his friends. I like him and his relationship with Tony. I just think Tom Holland's performance feels like a kid in high school. And it's one that I think grows on me. The more I watch it, the more I do like it. So there you go. Thor Ragnarok. This one to me is just so funny. And I love getting to know Hulk better and seeing and actually hearing dialogue from him. And I just think it is hilarious. I just love it. And I love the way it used music. And I think it's very entertaining. Black Panther, I really like the central conflict between Killmonger and T'Challa. That T'Challa wants to hide. He wants to protect Wakanda and the resources, the vibranium or whatever it's called. Whereas Killmonger feels that they need to be ambassadors and go out and help people that are suffering. That is really good. And I really think it's well done. And it makes it a really good movie, in my opinion. Then we have Avengers Infinity War. I think that the battle scenes are the best part about Avengers Infinity War. I like the fact that the henches of the goons or whatever of Thanos are really hard. It's not like other times when it's just sort of nameless, sort of easy to defeat bots like in Ultron. But these ones are really hard. It takes like 4 or 5 Avengers just to defeat one. And it's not even Thanos. And I think that I think that adds a lot of weight to everything and makes it something that it adds tension to the movie for sure. So I thought they did a really good job also in Infinity War of giving every single character their moment in the sun, and that is no small task given how many characters there were. So they did a great job with that. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think the Wasp was a way stronger character than I ever expected her to be. I think that also I really liked the Ghost villain. I thought that she had some heart. You could understand her point of view, and I thought it was pretty well done. There's some fun action, and it's just an enjoyable little superhero movie. Then we have Captain Marvel. And I think the strength of this movie is the character development of Carol and the way that it uses mystery in a way that not a lot of the Marvel movies have done. You really don't know whether she's human, whether she's an alien, what her powers are. She doesn't know. She gets these memories. She's trying to figure it out. And so I think that is probably my favorite thing about Captain Marvel. And also just the cast is really, really strong. And I really liked the post-credit scene the post and mid-credit scene in Captain Marvel. So that's my thoughts. Those are one nice thing about every single MCU movie. So let me know what your favorite thing about each of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. I would love to hear. Let's talk about it. And then, yeah, like I said, I'll do the others. And if you have other franchises that you think this would be fun for me to do, I think I would enjoy doing that. So thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.